Hello and welcome to Moments in History. I'm Linda Shenton Matchett, author, speaker, and history geek. During my research, I often unearth intriguing and little-known facts about World War II that I love to share. So tonight, we're going to talk about the Red Cross and what has been referred to by some as a 2-cent mistake. Ask many World War II veterans what they think about the Red Cross, and you may hear comments like, "We were ripped off," and "I got nothing good to say about the Red Cross." Surprised? I was, so I dug a little deeper. Founded in 1881 by Clara Barton, the Red Cross received a congressional charter in 1905 to, quote, furnish volunteer aid to the sick and wounded of armies in times of war, and to act in matters of voluntary relief and in accord with the military and naval authorities as a medium of communication between the people of the United States of America and their Army and Navy, end quote. Pretty long-winded, wouldn't you say? And I'm not quite sure what the government's motivation was to grant the charter. After all, the Red Cross had been operating and providing services to people around the world for nearly 25 years at that point. And in fact, with their history of providing comfort, the organization was able to jump in as soon as the hostilities began in Europe in 1939. Volunteers and staff loaded supplies onto ships and planes and made their way across the pond. By all reports, the organization became the main provider of relief supplies for the civilian victims. They also serviced the troops, and at the peak of its wartime activity, over 7.5 million volunteers and 39,000 staff provided service to the military. Their impact was so great that every family in America contained a member who had either served as a Red Cross volunteer, donated blood or money, or been a recipient of Red Cross services. Most chapter activities related to the war were organized into 11 volunteer corps. They had the Canteen Corps, the Home Services, Hospital and Recreation Corps, Motor Corps, Nurses' Aides, Production, War Funding, and Blood Donor Services, just to name a few. Next to their blood donor program, the canteens and clubs were perhaps their most well-known services. And the reason for that is quite clear. Across the globe, there were nearly 2,000 recreational facilities staffed by 5,000 workers and 140,000 volunteers. Pictures show laughing women dancing with soldiers, playing games, writing letters, sewing on insignia, and handing out donuts. So why all the hostility from veterans? Apparently, it's all about the donuts. As soon as the war began, the Red Cross offered comfort stations for soldiers, sailors, and airmen, from which they dispensed free coffee and free donuts. A wonderful service, one that the men greatly appreciated. Fast forward to 1942. The U.S. government stepped in. One report indicates that U.S. Secretary of War Henry Stimson received word that British troops were being charged for off-base food and lodging, and that the British High Command was pressuring the U.S. Army to insist that the Red Cross charge as well. Another report indicates that due to the wartime economy and lack of supplies, the International Red Cross, which provided very similar services to the British troops, French troops, and all the other allies, were not able to provide free services to these men. So for morale purposes, the British government asked the U.S. government to charge for coffee and donuts that were being provided for the Red Cross in World War II. So by direct order from the White House, the Red Cross began to charge for coffee and donuts behind the lines of battle. A real problem for those in the field who did not carry cash or whose pay had not caught up with them yet. Perhaps a better solution would have been to help the International Red Cross with financial support so they could offer free services. The U.S. continued to provide their other services for free to men on the front lines and other services to military families and victims. But the organization's reputation took a real beating for charging for what used to be free, and for some, the ill feeling has never gone away. Thank you for stopping by this moment in history. If you have any stories about the Red Cross, positive or negative, and you'd like to share them, put them in the comments below this video. But as always, keep it clean. If you want to learn more about the Red Cross and other service organizations, people, places, and incidents associated with World War II, you might find my book, Bits and Pieces of World War II, of interest. It's available on my website, www.lindashentonmatchett.com. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so that you never miss another one. And click that little bell to make sure you get a notification every time one is uploaded. You can find me across social media. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.